From the floor of the CME Group, this is Danny Riley with today's midday update. And the name of this video, S&P 500 to infinity and beyond. The high of the day in the S&P came in at 1981.30 just now. The low came in at 1925.5 early, and last were 1981.20. We're up 4 handles on the day. Total volume is a total joke. We had 168,000 minis traded in Globex, and we've got a total of 510,000 traded all day. And we have 700 big S&Ps traded in the pit. Now, I got a question for you guys. Can you say new all-time highs? I can. Look at what's going on here is we've got the minutes today, and then we've got the Jackson Hole stuff on Friday. It all adds up to no rate hikes. That's what I think. And as I was talking about yesterday, after the bonds made their highs and we had this big sell-off in the bonds, I think there was a lot of sentiment out there. It was just too early on, and a lot of people got short those futures. And then over the last couple of days, we're seeing, the last couple of weeks, we're seeing the S&P and the bonds rip higher. Now look, I want to talk about the year end. But first I want to talk about when I think possible weakness could show up in the S&P. You know, there's become some residual selling that shows up around the end of September, after the September quad witch or the September rebalance. Now, I believe that that could be a point in which you could see a little bit of selling going, and then you kind of go into that spooky month of October. So I'm thinking that may be a time when the markets start to pull back a little bit. But that said, I'm also looking for a push above 2,100 in the S&P. Now, I wrote about that in the morning report today that, you know what, I don't want to overproject, that I'm an old school guy. I got to see 20 in the S&P before I see 21. But that said, I think if we do get some type of pullback in September, October, that there's a very likelihood that we're going to get a push, year-end push, and my call for the end of the year is S&P 2085. 2085 in the S&P. My fingers and my head aren't working together at the same time. But look at what's going on right now, you guys, is really that trading rule Mr. Top Step got, and I'm sorry to keep this a little bit longer. It's called thin to win. Well, you know what? That's going to get a new meaning toward the end of this week and going into next week and into the holiday. Where this thing goes is anybody knows, but I can tell you that we're entering into a gigantic area of upside buy stops that go all the way up to 2008 in the S&P. So that said, you know what? I'm not here. I've always said I'm not here to fight City Hall, and if the S&P is going up or down, I want to go for the ride. I'll see you guys on the closing print.